Here's an overview of the mySelfQuantifier workbook that you can use for time tracking and other self-quantification purposes. I'm going to start by adding a new row here, setting the date, using a text expansion shortcut, setting the beginning time. Because I'm going to have several activities for this date, I'm actually just going to quickly copy and paste today's date here, and pressing the F9 key will cause Excel to calculate the values in all of the formula cells. Next, using a text expansion abbreviation, I'm going to enter the name of the project. We'll expand that. I'm currently recording a screencast, so I'm actually going to record the activity that I'm engaged in, and I won't be entering any parameters here. There are several pages in this workbook, the first one of which is a log, and then there's a whole bunch of summary spreadsheets that count, for instance, the amount of time that you spent in deep work by day, the amount of time you spent in given projects for a collection of days, what activities you engaged in for each day, the amount of deep work per week, the project per week, project year to date, and so forth. In this recording, we're focusing on this log sheet from which the summaries are derived. Right now, I'd just like to tell you about the log spreadsheet and just quickly show you that there's the month, the week, and the day that are auto-calculated based on the date you put in. When you start a new activity that you want to record, you put in your start time normally, and then your project and activity as I've just shown. If you want to add some notes or record your goal, or afterwards when you close the activity off, you can record the result of your activity. You can do so. There's a field here to indicate whether the work is deep work or not. I will explain that in another recording. And then it will auto-calculate your deep time if you put in a value of 1 here, indicating that it is deep work. There's a bunch of other fields here that you don't usually bother with, but sometimes you will note, for instance, whether the activity was scheduled or not. If you want to keep track of your writing rate, you can put in your words here, written here. If that's not of interest, you just delete. You can delete any of these columns. This is just a sample spreadsheet. It is, however, sometimes useful to make a note of whether the activity you engaged in was a candidate for efficiency, whether you could have done something more efficiently or not. And if you were out and out sidetracked, you can put that in here. Those are actually two different concepts, being sidetracked versus something being a candidate for efficiency, because you can be sidetracked by something that needs doing or that you do effectively. And if you use Stephen Covey's third principle of personal management of putting first things first, then you might occasionally want to record the quadrant, column T here, of the activity that you just engaged in. His first quadrant is urgent and important, second is important, not urgent, and third is not important and urgent, and fourth is not important, not urgent. So essentially you're supposed to be spending most of your time in quadrant 2. There's another column that you could occasionally use to record information in is the rationale, and that's particularly if you want to make a note of some activity that you did for an unexpected reason, for instance. It's also sometimes useful to record the next activity that you want to take. So if you're interrupted for some reason, then you could record what you wanted to do next. It might just be a piece of information about the text that you're reading or wherever, so you can quickly resume where the activity where you were interrupted. Again, it's important to emphasize that you wouldn't inscribe a value in every cell for every row. You basically just input information in a cell if it's going to be helpful. On the mySelfQuantifier website, we provide more guidance for filling in this information.